And that brings me now to the question of the support network for women's advancement. I mean, I remember once you were on television. I don't remember which minister it was, but somehow that minister said something that was inappropriate, very inappropriate, and you usually don't lose your cool, but on that occasion you did. And you said to the minister, "Minister, listen, ministers come and ministers go, but the people who do the work on the ground remain."
Yeah, yes.
And that reminds me of that mechanism of support for women's work. Tell us what you know of it and your experience of it over the years.
And I have to say, like with the original Housewives Association politics, you win some and you lose some, right? People come and go depending on how they perceive that their interests are served in the network. But generally, the support has been there from women's organizations in growing numbers to the extent that the network has over 100 members. Not all of them as active as we would like. They know the ones you can account for, and the ones who will show up if you say you're going to have tea.
Yes.
Right? But for me, I have seen that network grow, and like I said, the kind of support that I have received from yourself and Faith and Clarice and Joy Dumas and people like that, who believe in that sisterhood is powerful. I always used to get into trouble with people who say women are their own worst enemy, and I don't subscribe to that at all. As far as I'm concerned, sisterhood is powerful, it's worked for me, and I believe in it. Of course, there's a methodology, as we said, of organizing that keeps your constituents happy as well as serves your purpose and gets the outcomes that you want. One of those mechanisms that is interesting is the state's institutional mechanism for support of women, and before it became gender, and I have always had a problem with it, move from women to gender, because that got us in a whole set of other stew. But we recall the days when the issues related to women from the state side was handled by Phyllis Augustus alone in Riverside Plaza in the Ministry of Labor. And how coming up to 1980, there was put in place this Commission on Women headed by Stephanie Daly, which was intended to be the state's response to how we organize to support women. And we've seen that mechanism grow and develop. Never mind that it goes from there to Margaret Hector in the Ministry of Health and to somebody else in the Ministry of Local Government and some other place in the Ministry of Social Development and another place. And ministers zigzagging across ministers and no stable institutional mechanism until lately. I think we have to credit Joan Williams for the institutionalizing a stable environment for attention to women's affairs, even though sometimes it didn't work as well or as quickly or as much as we thought, but we could always know that it was there. And we've seen it now develop to the point where there's the ministry name has gender for the first time in front. They used to have something, something, something and gender, right? Now we got gender in this piece. And a very interesting story about that mechanism as well. Now, when they changed to this gender story, we thought that the best place for the location of the activity, wherever it was in the Prime Minister's office, because that gave you access to things that you wouldn't have access to if it was only in community development or in culture or in health or somewhere else. We didn't succeed in getting that, but what we got was being put in the Ministry of Planning and Development, and that was clearly our second choice, because there you would have the input into all of the various ministries in terms of the gender thing. And we got a woman minister of gender of development, so you would think we're going somewhere, right?
Yes, yes.
Didn't happen until the male minister of sustainable development arrived.
Yes.
That is Bo Tiwari, and I want to acknowledge that the first thing that Bo Tiwari did when he became the minister of planning was to approve the subvention of the network of NGOs. And he's very proud of it. He walks around boasting that that's one of the first things. But so the institutional mechanism is important depending on who is in there and the relationship that we develop. And I have to say, from the network's point of view, overall, we've had very good relations with whoever was the minister or the PS, except on one or two occasions when we had little difficulties, you know.
Yes.
But what you said is true. Governments come, governments go, minister come, minister go. But we have to go on.
Yes, yes.
Because there are things that will get lost. In fact, one of the things that we have been doing in this year is preserving those archival and historical documents about the journey from 1980s to now. Because there are some people who would like to reinvent the wheel of the story of gender from 2004.
Yes.
And I have to remind them that this business started in 1988.
Yes, yes.
With Clarice Manswell St. Louis in the helm, at the helm. And I have all the papers and the documents to show the story of the progress, the ups and downs, but why it is important for you for us to engage in a certain, to be engaged in a certain way with whoever is in power.